Welcome and thanks for joining us on Faith in Your Recovery. I have a guest with me here today. You're going to notice a little different access when you listen to Joe Lovell here in a sec. He's from the UK. Joe, introduce yourself. Tell us about life right now and let the folks know about where you live there in good old England, okay?
Yeah, so I'm Joe Lovell. I'm representing Pete Lewin Newfoundlands at the moment in the US, FDIC. So we offer emotional support swims for people who suffer with mental health, physical disabilities, anything like that, and it can be from first responders, armed forces, normal civilians, anyone that just needs that bit of help. So we do that. We're based out of Leicester in the UK, which is East Midlands, so the centre of the UK. So we have a lake we use called Stanton Lakes over there. We take a lot of people swimming from all around the country, to be fair, in the UK. And I mean, Skip Ockerman that works for Worldwide Peer Support, he came over last December. He did a swim with us. I mean, it was pretty cold as well when he come across. I mean, there was frost in the morning. That tells a lot. So he come over and did that with us. So yeah, that's basically what we do. A lot of emotional sports swims. So we've got five Newfoundlands now, so we've just got a little puppy that's just joined the ranks. And I mean, for anyone that doesn't know what Newfoundland is, it's a massive dog. It's like a bear, pretty much. They weigh 15, 16 stone, which is about 200 pounds. And on the back legs, they can be anywhere up to about 6 foot tall as well. So massive dogs, a lot of raw power as well in the water.
Quite a creature, but they must be a gentle beast as well to accomplish what they do, yes?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I mean, they're the most sort of caring dogs you could possibly ever meet. I mean, you start fussing and they'll roll straight over and they'll expect a lot of fuss. They won't leave you alone.
Wow, that's interesting. Folks, I want to remind you here at Faith in Your Recovery, we're about all things recovery, along with mental health, because we know that plays right in there. So having Joe with us today is a little different twist as far as our programming, but we believe it's valuable. He's a part of an emotional support team that deals with swim dogs. He's already introduced us to the idea that they use Newfoundlands. They grow to be, I think he just said, 200 pounds, give or take an ounce or so,
yep.
And 6 feet tall on their back legs. He earlier described them as a bear almost.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
To see one of those, we have a couple in the family that own one or two, and I've been around them, and they can make a St. Bernard look small most of the time.
Most definitely.
Yes. Tell us what that is about. Emotional support dogs. What does that mean, Joe, to folks who may not understand? So, I mean,
some people might not be comfortable going to talk with a counsellor or something straight away, or a therapist. So sometimes just going swimming with the dogs and being able to be silent in the water, being dragged in by the dogs and hearing them breathing, hear the water like rushing past almost. It can sort of make someone relax and have a lot of pressure taken off their shoulders. And then it might loosen up a bit, so they'll be a bit more comfortable then about talking about their mental health or any help that they could possibly need, so they can seek peer support and stuff like that. So it's that first step into sort of the recovery within your mental health almost. So yeah, that's basically
you
it.
say you do that basically with folks who are working in the emergency medical services, fire, etc. Go over that a little bit.
So, I mean, it's anyone. I mean, I believe it started out as emergency services because Pete Lewin himself, he's a paramedic within the East Midlands Ambulance Service back home. So he did a lot to start with, so friends were coming forward with issues. I mean, he suffered himself with mental health as well, so he was helping a lot of his friends at first. Then he sort of moved on to other sort of areas, so we started getting sponsors on board. they were then coming forward with people that were struggling within their company, so that could be tech companies, anything like that, and then we were offering swims for them. And then I believe we started doing stuff for the NHS, which is the National Health Service back home, which is the free healthcare system we have. So they're actually referring patients to us, mental health patients that may just need that sort of support.
Yeah. How did you get involved with this, Joe? Where was your interest? What sparked your desire to get to do such work? And how long have you been doing it?
So I suffered massively with my mental health. I had some things happen when I was a young child within the family, so that started that. And then I lost a very, very close friend of mine in a car, well, not a car accident, he was on a motorbike, hit by a drunk driver, and he got crushed by a truck, basically. He died on scene. So that really started a lot of it off. Then I was going through work. I had a near-death experience at work that was caused by some workmates that took a joke too far. And then
that was near-death for you?
That was near-death for me. So what happened was they locked me in a room. They put a CO2 powder extinguisher into the room and let it off. So basically it took the oxygen out of the air, and I was basically suffocating in there, and it was really traumatic.
How long ago was that?
This was probably about 3-4 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And then so from then on, a lot more stuff happened at work, a lot of bullying and stuff like that, and it really took its toll. I tried to commit suicide the first time. I had a first attempt. I basically went to try and jump off a bridge, basically, over onto a motorway or a highway, as you call it over here. Tried to take my life. Luckily, someone walked past, and they just took the time to stop and talk to me and just asked if I was okay. It saved my life that night. And then it happened a lot more, all this bullying and stuff like that at work, and amongst other things, financial issues. Because of my depression, anxiety, I was sort of spending money to sort of try and cure myself and keep myself happy, and I put myself into a lot of debt. I'm still recovering from now as well, this debt. And then it got really worse, and then I started drinking a little bit more than I probably should have. I was drinking vodka most nights. This was only for about 3 weeks to a month.
But that had to scare you, because that could still be going on.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it leaded up to me trying to take an overdose, basically, with when I was living with a housemate. So yeah, it got quite scary, and it's got to the point where I need to get help, and that's when I actually started telling people about mental health. I lived all through it on my own, suffering, basically. But from that, so my mum, she's a director at Pete Lewin Newfoundlands. So when I told her, she rang Pete straight away, organised a swim with Pete, and then from then on, that's how we went. I started doing more swims with him, and then now I sort of help out as much as I can. I'm over here representing him in the US.
So how long have you been a part of this?
So I would say I've probably been with Pete Lewin Newfoundlands, helping out here and there, probably about year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
So I'm still fairly new to it all.
Sure.
But I try and do my best to help out where I can.
Yeah. So you say you come here to America, to the United States. What is that, when the need or the opportunity exists, or?
So when Skip come over last December to have a swim with us, I got talking to him. I told him a little bit about my story, and he turned around and says, "You should come over, visit the States, come do FDIC." And I went, "I'm going to take you up on that." The next week, booked a flight to the States, got all my visa sorted, and now I'm here.
Well, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Listen, I'm going to touch on a tender spot, and if you want to redirect, you have that option.
Okay.
What were some of those struggles as a young person, Joe, that you mentioned at home? We don't have to have all the details, but more folks are going to relate.
Yeah, so I started off life, I didn't have a father in my life. It was just me and my mum and my grandparents. So it started off like that. My mum went into her first marriage, and he was quite abusive, really not a nice person. So that sparked a lot of the stuff off. That was my childhood for a lot of the time. And then she split with him, and then now she's remarried, luckily, to a top bloke, as we say in the
awesome.
UK.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate your home terms.
No
okay?
problem.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. All right, you've gotten involved with the Newfoundlands. What has that done for you? What has that meant to your life, to your turnaround, to your success? Tell us about that.
It's helped massively. It's almost given me a purpose to keep on going. I mean, it's helped loads, basically. To be able to sort of go and do the dogs with Pete, I mean, I don't touch on the mentor side. I think I just help out normally with Pete, with the dogs. I'd help on the bank and stuff like that, and within the water. But that has helped massively. It's sort of given me a purpose to that. I know I'm a small part helping someone's recovery. It's maybe in a really dark place. I've lived through it. I know exactly what it's like, and it's so good to be able to help people and sort of get them on the road to recovery so they're back to 100%.
So you're very much hands-on, it sounds like. You're there to deal with the physical aspect more than the mental. And I'm going to guess as they're getting help, you're also getting bits and pieces of help. As you see somebody else recover, as you see somebody or hear someone share with them a story, that's got to build you up.
Most definitely.
And you're in a very positive place, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm probably about 90-95% there. I still have me rough days, but I'm doing good these days. It's helped a lot, so knowing that I'm part of something great like Pete Lewin Newfoundlands, and now a worldwide peer support as well. And it's great to be part of all of it and helping people out and getting them on their recovery. It helps me massively to stay positive and work on my own mental health as well.
You know, folks, I've never had the opportunity to get to meet someone like Joe who deals with this kind of work. I have those friends who have their emotional support dogs. In a case or two, it's a Pomeranian, which a Newfoundland could swallow, I would think, in a single bite.
Yeah.
Of course, we have those dogs for the vision impaired and even the hearing impaired, and in a lot of other ways.
Yeah.
But to think of these dogs as going out into this lake that you mentioned to swim with these individuals who are going through therapy, that's a different game from anything I've ever been involved with.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, I believe, well, from what I've gathered, we're probably one of the first charities within, not sure if it's the world, but possibly Europe, and no, definitely the UK, to actually use Newfoundlands for what we use them for, is emotional support. They used to be used predominantly for dragging ropes in from ships. Back in the olden days, the old merchants would use them. They would send them over with a guide rope, and then they would pull the main rope in. So they're really strong swimmers. I mean, one of our dogs could easily pull in 5 to 6 people from out in the water all the way to the bank. So yeah, they're amazing animals. It's one of the only breeds, I think there's a couple of other breeds that actually have webbed feet, so they swim like a polar bear, so they've actually got a lot of raw power when they're in the water. So yeah.
Wow, I didn't know those things. You know, I'd never taken that study to hear that with the pawed feet and all that they can do.
Yeah, they're great.
And it would have to be an encouragement, should you be in a struggle, to have a dog like that come to you. It'd have to be a little frightening, number one.
Yeah.
But once you find out the gentle side, you've got to know you're in good paws instead of good hands.
Most definitely.
You said you're at least the first one, you believe, there in the UK and maybe throughout Europe. And you told us a little bit about Pete and his struggles. What made him think this would work? Can you answer that?
I don't know too much about Pete's struggles personally. I just know he started off with a dog called Boris. That was I believe it was the first dog he used to start doing this water rescue things. He started out as just purely water rescue. He took all the courses and he used Boris for that. then it sort of just branched off into the mental health and the emotional support and the physical support sort of things as well, as it progressed further down the line. And from when I started with Pete a couple of years ago to how he is now, he's blown up. We just won an award at Crufts, which is a big award ceremony in the UK. We won Rescue Dog of the Year award there. Pete's been on local news, national news, and other news channels as well. He's really blown up. The whole charity's really gained momentum now, and we're growing. We're growing massively.
That's got to mean a lot to everybody involved. You talk about the dogs being that emotional support and obviously physical support in that time of need.
Yeah.
Do you have folks that deal with the mental health aspect as far as therapy with that, or how does that work, or do you outsource that? Pardon that expression, I don't know a better one. How do you deal with that?
It's a bit difficult because we don't have the sort of sit-down stuff. We invite people down, they come to swims with us, and we sort of make it almost a friendship, someone just to talk to if they need to. We're not, I wouldn't say we're professionals with mental health, but we try our best. We're here to talk to. A lot of us have lived through mental health struggles. We know exactly what they're going through.
That clarifies it. When you said a lot of these have lived through the mental health struggles, you're not there as a priority to deal with their mental health, but to encourage them and to help them along the way, to give them some hope.
Exactly.
And they can find the help needed mentally with others. But this is a place where you guys can step up and are obviously stepping up, and you share all that's taken place.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things about those awards, about all of the coverage that you're getting, it just simply spreads the word. And there's got to be people listening to the radio, watching their TV, whatever, that are going, that's what I've been looking for. That's what I need. And they can make that contact and move forward with you.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So, where do you see your future in all this, Joe, at this time? And how old are you, may I ask?
I'm 23 years old.
I was going to guess the 25 range, okay? Yeah.
I'll take it as a compliment.
You've got a lot of future ahead of you.
Yeah.
What's your plans, your dreams, your goals? Yeah, where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
So only part-time at Pete Lewin, only just when I can help out, because I'm an electrician full-time back in the UK.
Okay.
So I've just qualified as an electrician, so I've pretty much just kicked off my career, really. So I'm going to progress within that field a lot more, but also try and help out as much as I can with Pete. I love helping out there, so try and have the balance. I try and help out when I can, but predominantly, obviously, I do a lot with as an electrician.
Yes. All right. You see that as your career from here on out. What if, tough question, maybe you don't want to answer it publicly, okay? But what if the opportunity came up to go full-time with the dogs in the dream position you'd like to have?
In a heartbeat. If I was offered a full-time paid position, in a heartbeat, I'd take it, 100%.
I'm going to guess there in the UK, like here in the US, that an electrician's paid pretty healthy.
It's a reasonable pay, definitely.
Yes. I know here it's a good place to be, okay?
Yeah,
if
definitely.
You're in you have your own business or a company that's
so I work for a company, so we do commercial and industrial sort of outfits and stuff like that.
Here in the States, we call it a journeyman once you get through all your apprenticeship. Are you at that point or working toward that?
So I am fully qualified. I'm a registered electrician within the UK.
Okay.
So I can advance. I can do a couple of a course and become what we call an approved electrician, which basically just means more money, basically a bit more responsibility. I'm going as a supervisor hopefully this year, so I'll be doing my supervisor's course for our company. So I'll start running some of the jobs, have a few men working for me. So yeah, I'm there. I'm a proper electrician.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Well, congratulations
Thank you very much
for all of that. What would you like folks to know about the work you do with the Newfoundlands, with Pete, that I haven't touched on? Is there something you'd like them to hear or advice you'd like to give?
I mean, we've touched on pretty much everything about Pete Lewin Newfoundland, but the advice I would give is just talk about your issues. Don't bottle them up. It doesn't help. In the long run, it works out a lot worse. Don't fight your battles alone. Just come forward, seek help. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have lived through the issues and they've lived to tell the tale. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Don't think that you're never going to be happy again. Just come forward and talk.
I'm going to guess that's why you were willing to take on this interview today, because you didn't hesitate when we spoke last night when I gave you the invitation.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess Skip had already talked to you about it, but regardless, you seem to jump at it because you've got a heart to want to help.
Definitely.
And just to give the advice you gave, don't bottle it up.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, listen, thank you. Thank you for joining us here at the FDIC. Thank you for coming to the States.
Thank you for having me.
Well, absolutely. Thank you for the work you do back in the UK as an electrician and with the dogs. And we may just dream that dream with you that opportunity will come to where you can step up, get into that full time. We just want for you what you want for your own heart. We trust that'll happen.
Thank you very much.
Once again, thank you for joining us. Have a safe trip back home. How long are you going to be here before you head back, Joe?
So I go back home on the 4th of May. So next week on Wednesday, I travel back to the UK.
So you've still got a few days here.
I've got a few days. We're going to be doing some good old American shooting and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Well, congratulations. Take care. God bless.
Thank you.